Chronicle of the Crowns, session 2. So we'll jump straight into it. Last time we arrived at the town, the sort of borderlands town of Strathfell, and we met with the local ruler, Lord Beric, who has put the heroes of our story on the road to the north, investigating a village called Vorbek, which hasn't, according to Lord Beric, been providing taxes or other, harvest items this summer/autumn at all. And he has already sent some soldiers up there, and they've not come back. And Lord Beric wishes our heroes to go and investigate what has happened to Vorbek and get back to him. And in exchange, he will divulge information. He alleges that he has some kind of information relating to possibly the resurfacing of the true crown, the crown of power that humans lost centuries ago. So we'll jump straight into it. And let's get into the mood here with our intro bit. So you left in the night. So it's a bit of an interesting start to the journey as you're navigating in the dark in unknown lands. But to your benefit, there is an actual road that leads out to the north, so you can follow that with little trouble. The road, such as it is, winds up along the Great River for a while. As we remember, Strathfell is a town on the Great River, which comes down from the northern mountains and stretches pretty much across the rest of the continent, really. But yeah, you follow the river, as does the road, for a while before the road turns towards the hills to the north, and in short order it peters out to little more than footpaths. So you're no longer on the road as you travel. The silvery peaks loom on the horizon. And the journey takes a couple of days, during which you camp in glades and copses along the way to get some shelter. And as you approach the village of Vorbek at the end of your journey, you think anyway, you approach Vorbek, you come upon the remnants of an ancient road, stones laid into the earth, and a handful of collapsed and weather-beaten pillars that must have served some kind of function long ago. Basically, this would be you're going from like a forest footpath. You come upon like an open area, and then you realize, oh, it's not just stones in the ground. They're actually laid out like pavement on a road. And then you follow that, and you figure out it heads north exactly where you're going. This is an ancient road that goes where you are going right now. So we have a couple of hands up. So let's deal with Glarvir first.
Okay, so obviously we know that as a dwarf, stone's pretty much my bag. And you've said it's a particularly old road. Obviously,
yeah, it's weather. It's like the remnants of a road.
Yeah. So
with some pillars that maybe lined it or something, but they're all fallen down now.
And I presume sort of as we're travelling, like it's not just a case of we come across a little patch of road, then there's nothing, like the road continues on and we're seeing these pillars dotted about and whatnot.
Yeah. This is where you come upon the start of this road, and well, it's ruined, so maybe it went on longer in previous times, but it no longer does. You come upon the start of this road, and you can see the paved part of it, though it is worn and ancient and not really in proper condition anymore. It does in fact go north into the hills, where you think you've seen some things that might look like structures against the dark silhouette of the Weeping Weald. And it's basically, you think as you find the start of the road, or the first parts of the road, you think it probably leads straight into where you're going anyway.
Okay, so I like to think one of the points where like we've paused for like a little rest stop or to have a drink or to eat or whatever, I would like to use my reason of old stone on like whatever patch of road and ruined pillars we're by. So you guys will see me sort of like as we're like stretching our legs, off the horse and whatever, and we're refreshing ourselves and whatever. I'll be moving around and I'll be sort of like touching all the stone. I'll probably even like sort of like smell the stone, or maybe like, and then like taste the sort of stone. And I'm going to be trying to determine past events that have left their mark on this stone, which is an obstacle 5 roll by default for this. So I'm just going to I've got nothing that I can fork into it, so I'm not spend any author. Since it's just like a quick background thing, I'm not expecting to succeed. No, so I didn't succeed, but obviously I get to mark off a...
If you want to spend a fate point, there is 1 6. If you want to try and get another 6 to succeed,
I'm good. I'll just mark down the challenging roll.
Yeah. So past events, it's not ancient events, is it?
No, it's for obstacle 5. It's past events that have had like a direct effect on the road's current state.
Yeah. So you find it's quite recent anyway, to stones, but you find scratchings of it takes you a bit because it's like a combination of pictograms and actual letters that you are familiar with, and it's you think this place serves as a trading post currently. Obviously not right now, but you find scratchings that indicate that it's you think it's like calendar markings. It's like on this day in the spring, the first trade moot is held here, and you find various marks, worn parts in the fallen pillars that indicate that people probably they come up here with their probably tents and portable domiciles like that, usable for whatever purpose they see fit. So you see basically signs of life, like people come here to inhabit this for parts of the year, but not currently. It's late autumn, the harvest has come and gone. They're preparing for winter. No one's coming here in the winter.
Okay, so I think having noticed that, I'll draw Kameron and Tyrael's attention to it, and I'll be like,
well,
you two, what do you make of this here? I'll say.
Well, before you draw Tyrael's attention to anything, actually, what I was going to do while that was going on was I wanted to ride ahead, and we're relatively close to the town at this stage, right?
It's still some distance away. Like you can see the hills that it's on.
Sure, but I got elven eyes, and I can tell a lot of information.
But like
I want to do
there
a
is
little bit
some
of scouting.
There's a good amount of distance still to go. But now you found the road, and you think probably because you have like partially paved ground, it's going to be quite quick going from here on out. But it's still going to take some time.
Yeah, exactly, Glarvir. No, I think that at this stage we're close enough to, if anyone wanted to ambush anybody along the road, we're close enough to the proximity of the town that those could have been set up. So my natural inclination from my ranger days would be to go out and to scout. So with just a little bit of a flourish of the hand in the air, I'm going to just get Seardal to get into a little bit of a gallop, get a little speed going, and I'm going to proceed with some scouting.
So what I'll suggest is a sort of like bridge between what I'm doing and what you're doing, Tyrael, is that perhaps I've been looking at the stone, like I've not realised you've gone off to do your scouting because I'm so
exactly.
I'm so and I've gone, Tyrael, Cameron, what do you make of Tyrael?
Tyrael? What happened with the elf?
Right. So your intent is what? So let's actually pause here for a bit. So Burning Wheel operates on a basis of intent and task.
Okay.
So we establish your intent. You're trying to,
My intent is to reconnoiter any enemy forces that may be in our path and agitate them to get a good assessment of them if necessary. The terminology would be recon and force in military parlance, as I understand it. So that's what I would be interested in doing.
Right, and you do so. There's you can see in the far distance, you can see the start of the fields that must be Vorbek's fields.
Formerly plowed and tended.
Like the open areas basically that don't have a lot of trees.
Basically the cleared out space around the city, essentially.
So you can see far in the distance, you can see that with your elven eyes. But before you get there, there's like it's quite idyllic actually going through this like ruined road. You're sort of like flanked on both sides by leafy trees with their leaves either having fallen already or like showering you as you go.
It's autumn.
And it's good ambush territory. And your sort of entire military experience is tied to all of this.
I mean, this is what I used to do for a living, right?
This is basically you're surveying the exact things that you were taught.
I would have done to people trying to invade my country.
So with your familiarity as well, like you can easily figure out the good places here, and you take the appropriate precautions as you check out the area. You find no sign of let's say sentient creatures about. So you don't find tracks, and this is all explicitly true. What we're doing right now is we're saying yes to your role because I know that there is no nothing at stake here. So you can find no tracks of any kind of recent make aside from animals, but you can find no trace of people in these good ambush spots or on the road for that matter. From
a safe vantage, obviously not on the road, because being on the road is not entirely safe, even though I don't detect anything. But from a safe vantage, perhaps in a tree in the forest, perhaps, do I get a sense of the situation, Vorbek? Do I see smoke?
You don't see smoke.
Any signs of ruin? And does it just look like it's abandoned from my eyes?
It looks very still, and you don't see smoke, which you probably would suspect you might have seen already from a distance as well, and it's been in the back of your minds like, I should probably have seen more smoke in the evenings at least, but
even just from them burning fires to do stuff in their day to day, So I guess at this point, would there be a value? I mean, obviously, I've gone probably several miles down the road because I'm on a horse, and obviously I can move more pretty quickly. Would there be a value in getting closer, or does it seem like it might be more sound for me to regroup? Basically, we're covered up till this point anyway because I've scouted ahead. And then essentially, I guess what I'm trying to say is we are going to need to come up with a plan as a group, I think, to kind of get into the town without being seen and that sort of thing. So
whatever, like your approach has to probably be discussed with the other two.
Okay,
But I think you can see no visible, like obviously something's off to you.
Totally.
Even if you don't have the details on like what that might be, but something's obviously not.
This is not right, obviously.
And the counterpoint to that is you're also not seeing people. So
no one in the fields tending.
No one's in the fields.
No trade. No horses.
No one's on the road, and that's the counterpoint to like, we need to be careful. But we don't. There's no one that we can see. Whilst we might want to be careful, you can see no one.
Okay. All right. So at that point, I will with that information gained, and not wanting to try to take the whole town by myself, I'll just turn back and head back to where we stopped.
So I imagine as you get back to us Tyrael, I'm probably just getting towards the end of like a long, convoluted explanation about the stones that I've been giving to Kameron. So as you ride up, you probably hear me say, and yes, I think these marks are related to dates of some kind, Kameron. Perhaps this is used as an impromptu campsite or a gathering site at certain times. Oh, there you are, Tyrael. I was just telling
wondering when you
Kameron
would
here
notice
about...
me.
Well, I
You
was
should have
just
set a watch while I wasn't here.
Oh, well,
Pointing out.
I may be old, Tyrael, but I'd like to see the ambusher who could get past these dwarven peepers.
Are dwarves known for their eyesight? I thought that was more our thing.
Well, yes,
anyway,
you do have something of an
Anyway.
advantage of us, but in this dwindling, fading light out of the two of us, myself and Kameron.
Yes, of
No
course.
offense, Kameron,
Yes.
but
Yes. You're right, of course. Which is why you should have been on watch instead of giving Cameron a history lesson. But I digress. Shall I inform you of my scouting report?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Indeed. Well, I am stunned into silence by its absence, let's just say. There is no activity up ahead. No people, no things. I've never heard a chirp of a bird or a crick of an insect in the woods. And when I got closer to Vorbek, no smoke, no fire, no obvious signs of rape and pillage.
Any signs of tracks or movement?
Nothing. Not at least in the area to approaching this town. I didn't go much further because it's a pretty wide and clear open field to a hill position. If there are enemy forces lurking in that, well, I mean, I'm just only a single elf. And that's not a really sound tactical position.
No, I quite agree, Tyrael. Your strength in numbers and all that. Sounds like you made a very
we need to have an
wise
approach. And if we're dealing with, humans, again, no offense, Cameron. If we're only dealing with humans, then I suggest we wait till nightfall to make an approach under the cover of darkness. We get into the town, we ascertain the situation, we decide what we want to do on the spot as it is, and move from there. I think it's probably our most sound plan of action.
That will make me less able to help you, but I will make do.
No. Once the fun starts, you'll be able to see plenty. Don't worry. Right, Glarvir?
Fear not, lad. I have sworn that I will do my utmost to prevent any harm coming to any of my companions during this mission. I'm sure my axe can deter whatever vagabonds might be waiting for us in Vorbek, but I agree with Tyrael. We must be careful and approach this cautiously. After all,
I would think the vagabonds wouldn't cover their movement so well. So perhaps it's something.
Well, if these are humans, again, that's a big if here. I saw no trace of anything. But if these are human beings behind this, they are being extremely careful for members of your species. Normally, if I were at home, I would say this were my own kind, and we were raiding across our own borders. This is, honestly, some fine work. If it's humans, that is. If it is more, like we possibly suspected it to be, it could be anything, and then I would need to actually see the town before we can make any assertions.
Well, we already know that Lord Beric has told us that he sent people to Vorbek and they didn't return.
His own men, that's true.
And we know that the tax revenue from Vorbek has dried up recently. So to my mind,
the town looks abandoned. So
indeed. So to my mind, with what you have found out with your scouting, Tyrael, that would suggest that some great ill has befallen the village as a whole, and whatever ill has befallen them has perhaps extended to these men that Lord Beric originally sent to investigate. So I think caution is the way to procead here.
I'm going to consult the wheelmaster for a second, and I'm going to take in my surroundings. And at what he's been what Tyrael's told us, I'm just looking around to see if I can see anything in the distance that's following us, tracking us. If the absence of nature itself, as he described, is present here as well, like it's not just the town.
Tyrael did find like birds and stuff. It's people that's missing from the picture,
Okay, he
which
didn't
is
sound like
what
there
he
was
was also
nothing.
looking for. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to intend that there's no animals. The animals are there.
I played it up with the details. If we want to still retcon that a little bit, that's fine. Besides, Tyrael's an elf. They're
Yeah,
dramatic.
but Leo, as you pondered this, Cameron, and you listen, you're just like, oh, well, that's a flock of birds. So clearly,
There's still nature
animal
around.
life still thrives around here.
Okay.
Whatever's affecting the town is not affecting here.
So,
We can.
sorry to interrupt, as we're planning to head into this town, I'm gonna sort of like gathering close together with my two comrades. I'm gonna take out like my moon rune stones.
Oh, here we go.
And I'm gonna say, well, since we have precious little to go on, save Tyrael's valuable scouting, given that this is a human matter, let me. And I sort of like wave this pouch of like moon runes sort of over Kameron's head, and I'm like, let us consult the runes to see what fate has in store for us.
Ah, the fabled dwarven art.
I have not seen dwarven magic in many years. This should be
It's
fascinating.
fascinating.
And I'm going to roll their moon runes.
I did naughty by not pulling up our books. So I can do that very quickly.
So right, the obstacle for pronouncing a fate, which is obviously to do with Kameron at this point, is the target's highest circle plus reputation plus affiliation dice total.
Okay, let me.
Do I have to roll this?
No, I roll it. This is just to work out the difficulty.
difficulty. Yeah.
Or it's 10 minus the points value of the most expensive non-common trait, whichever's lowest.
Okay, let me. Let's get Cameron's sheet. So, it's either option one. Here we go. Okay, so 10 minus the highest circle's reputation.
No. It's. Oh yeah, it's 10 minus the highest circle plus reputation.
Yeah, or 10 minus the
That's right.
trait. Yeah. So that's probably gonna go with the trait.
Okay.
Because I don't know that Cameron has a lot of circles going.
Not yet, no.
Yeah, so it's gonna be. To check that. What was it? Point value of the most expensive non-common trait. Ooh, okay. That might even be your noble lineage thing.
Ooh.
Checking your spirit familiar. Yeah, it's gonna be 5, I think, John, for the obstacle.
Okay, obstacle 5. Let's risk it for a biscuit then.
And let's revisit persona point as well. So
I was going to say I would like to spend a persona point on this.
Yeah, but you can spend them up to 3, 1 for 1 for extra dice.
Yes,
if you
I'm
roll.
just going to spend the 1 on this. So let's see how we do. Base obstacle 5. Yeah, no success.
There's 2 6s there. If you want to spend a fate, you can re-roll those.
Do you know what? Why not?
That's a 50-50 chance.
Why not? It's not going to happen, but why not? So I get to re-roll 2d6, yeah?
Yeah, 2D. Yep.
Okay. No.
Oh, none. Okay. So what are we looking at here? You're
Well, if I'd successfully succeeded, I would pronounce a fate which changed one of my beliefs, and then I have to help them make it come true. It doesn't really say what happens if it fails.
Yeah. Okay. So,
well, if he does not, or if the belief changes, the fate is rendered invalid.
Yeah, but that's if you
it
actually
comes
do
true.
it.
Yeah.
That, so I'm just speed reading this. Okay, so I don't think it explicitly states that there's built-in stuff for failure.
I do have a suggestion.
Yeah.
I was going to suggest, because obviously I was hoping there'd be some like great sort of heroic fate I could try and help Kameron reach. What if I see something like potentially horrible that's going to happen to him, and then my belief could change to like, oh, I've got to try and prevent that rather than trying to make his.
Prevent that part of it from happening.
Yeah, I think what you see in the runes is it is Cameron's fiery demise.
Oh boy.
He's
it's like session 2, guys.
Yeah. And it is explicitly about fire. Like he will perish in fire.
He's lying under a wheel.
Yeah, being run over by a burning cart.
Oh, the irony!
DM.
So what I would suggest is, 'cause I was going to change my, I believe, the expedition to the Borderlands Canadar quest to meet his, whatever his fate was. I have to change a belief. So what I'd suggest is, do you want to tell me what my new belief is related to this, so I don't have as much control over it because I failed the roll? I mean, I'm quite happy just to put like prevent Kameron's fiery demise if you want.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good one to make.
I mean, I guess it also depends. Like, you changing the belief is not a part of this. That's something you can do if you want, but the mechanics cannot make you do that. So, what we could say is you see Cameron's fiery demise on this, like explicitly on what you're trying to do. So his course will lead to a fiery demise, is what you read from the runes right now. So,
yeah, and I have changed my belief because obviously part of my oath is
altering
save my basically this ability just gives me like an excuse to change your belief pretty much.
Yeah, I just say so. Yeah, definitely.
So I've basically changed it because obviously one of my oaths is like protect you guys from harm. So I've seen like, oh, in the future he's going to die in like fire. So I've changed the belief to like, oh, I've got to stop that like dark fate from happening.
And I would propose that there's something we can do with this. Obviously, down the line, like when the fire happens, then you're like, well, like let me slide that belief in.
It is time.
And you can break that up, like write this down somewhere in your notes, like this is a belief for the future. But I think probably something I might do as a player would be like get one of your instincts to be like, oh, I need to be, close to Kameron at all times because I'm trying to safeguard him or something to that effect. Like I always be like safeguarding Kameron from danger.
Yeah, so I think what I'll do is after I've cast the runes, I'll just sort of say, oh, unfortunately the fates are cloudy. They don't reveal a great deal to me, I'm afraid. Perhaps I'm getting a little bit too old for this. And then, obviously, I don't want to I don't want to spook.
Do not undersell yourself, Glarvir. It's been a very long journey already.
Yeah, so I am a little bit tired. I say, and I'll sort of give Kameron a bit of sorry, not Kameron. I'll give Tyrael a bit of perhaps you could help me unload some of my stuff from your horse, Tyrael.
Well, if some of that beer of yours on the offering, then not an issue at all.
And basically, my plan's to again, I don't want to spook Kameron. So my plan is to get Tyrael over so we're both near the horse, and I'll lean into him and I'll say,
I'm gonna perceive, as I'm highly perceptive, that you are asking me over for more than just a little bit of beer. You know what I mean?
I'm very not subtle about it because I'm not subtle.
You just hold up a sign. Come on.
Yeah, I'm pretty much like
Cameron's gonna burn.
I'm pretty much like Tyrael. If you could come and help me with
yes.
And when we're sort of unloading the stuff your horse, I'm going to say, much as I hate to admit it, Tyrael, I wasn't strictly truthful when I said the runes didn't reveal.
I thought perhaps you might have been holding something back.
Now I know that, and I don't wish to speak ill of the humans, but I know your people and my people. We have a somewhat different perspective on our earthly incarnations, shall we say?
Yes, very different, especially from them.
Well, I saw I believe I've glimpsed what may be the possible fate of our young companion. I saw smoke and flames,
Oh,
death
wow.
and pain and loss. And if at all possible, I will obviously do my best to ensure that this does not come to pass. After all, this is more of a shadow of what may be than set in stone. But
Yes, the future is not entirely written yet.
indeed, but we write it every day with our own actions. But I thought I should let you know, if we get into a situation where there are flames and fire involved, we should maybe keep an extra watch on Kameron to make sure the dark foretelling that I have foreseen does not come to pass.
I'm just going to point out that in our line of work and our particular quest, flames and destruction and death and pain and loss are probably going to be bosom companions to us throughout our journey. This will be a task in of itself, I'd say. Yes?
Indeed, and it is a task that I will swear to uphold.
I understand. It's all right. No need
I have
to
sworn an oath already to protect my companions from harm.
I'm just kind of like a little distance away.
Yeah,
like
you're probably hearing like my bearsm shouting.
My ancestors.
In fact, to be honest, if you want, Kameron, you can have heard all of that because I'm quite shouty.
Probably. He wasn't being very
I'm shouty, so
I'm trying to be like low key about it, but he's just blown up our spot.
So if you want to have heard my entire side of the conversation, you can have done. So you'll have heard me be like, I don't want to upset the young lad, but I've seen this horrible fate for him in the future. But I'll be like rage about. I've sworn an oath and let no one, not even the fates themselves, stand in the way of a dwarf's sworn oath.
Meanwhile, I'm looking at the sort of the stonework that you mentioned before with my familiar, kind of like talking to myself essentially at the moment. Well, to my familiar, but like up in the open air, it's like this could have been back from when my ancestors were actually doing stuff rather than fading away. When man was actually worth something. Tracing, like, kind of running my hand over the stonework, trying to connect with the past, even though it is long gone. Fading empire.
Glarvir, all I was trying to say before you made your very grandiose pronouncement.
I like to think as you're sort of saying that, I'm still sort of like, and the dwarf will never be swayed, and you're like, Glarvir.
I'm just trying to say that humans how should I say this without being insulting? They're like rabbits. They come quickly and they leave just the same. All I'm trying to point out here is that let's not frighten the dear boy with proclamations of doom.
Well, that's why I'm over here having this quiet conversation with you.
Glarvir, I think you and I need to re-examine the definition of the word quiet together one of these evenings when we're not about to possibly assault the city. But, yes. We will do what we can for Kameron, of course. He is one of ours. We are sworn brethren now.
Oh, yes, indeed.
And we take our oaths seriously, maybe not quite as seriously or quite as many as our dwarven friends, but...
Well, no one's perfect, Tyrael. No one's perfect.
Yes, exactly. Exactly what I was thinking. But shall we proceed? We should at least get into a safe position near Vorbek before the night comes down on us, and then from there we can proceed.
Quite. Lead on, Tyrael. Lead on.
I will walk over to Kameron, who I believe he was talking to himself and examining.
I was talking to my familiar, but kind of like.
Yeah. Oh, okay, right. I'll come put a light hand on his shoulder, contemplating what might have been.
What once was.
Indeed. What can be again, I imagine, if we complete this quest. I imagine once your crown has been restored, humanity will have something to once again aspire to as a whole. Maybe it will not be as it was before, but perhaps something new can be forged from your disparate parts.
Perhaps. But maybe we're no longer worthy of that kind of power.
Oh, no. There's still much that humanity has to offer. Much. You just have to be given the opportunity once again to reach beyond the day-to-day. It's hard to aspire when your lives are so short and punishing. Yes, I've seen nothing but toil and hardship when I've passed through human land since I've been traveling with Glarvir and yourself. And I believe once this suffering can be ameliorated, perhaps the crown in the hands of a strong leader again. Who knows? You
I'll start
did much once upon a time.
Perhaps it is the suffering that is what made us strong. Now we have
maybe. I suppose we'll see.
I do hope you still have that optimism about my brethren after spending more time.
I wouldn't call it optimism. We just have seen more than you have. We've been here longer.
As you discussed, there's the Arctic fox, so the stark white fox, close by, in I think probably on a like impromptu bed of leaves, just like licking its paw and watching and listening as you discuss amongst yourselves.
Very much so. I believe we established. If we both look in your direction, it's a bit spooky.
Well, all my comment will be is that, and your fox is very beautiful. Have I ever mentioned that, Kameron?
I don't think you have. Thank you.
Yes, I've never seen it's quite its like, with fur that white, and eyes that color.
Yeah,
so rare creature.
Especially in your domain, they don't exist.
Yeah, in my domain, I'm like, I'm almost in like a tropical environment. I imagine in a way, you know, like lots of thick forests and water.
Slight smile, I do say it is a rare breed, indeed.
Yeah. Well, the plan, Kameron, if you didn't already overhear it with Glarvir, well, being Glarvir.
You seem to be very animated about something.
He's, generally speaking, a very animated fellow. We are going to approach Vorbek. We're going to take the road and then cut off into the woods. We're going to find a nice quiet spot where we can survey the town without being surveyed ourselves. And then once night has fallen, we will approach. Glarvir will assist you, obviously, because your eyesight is limited in the darkness, we understand. I will approach near but separately under stealth. We have our ways, let's just say.
As do I. If you wish for more information before we enter the village itself, there is something I could do.
Could you do this while we're waiting for nightfall?
Sure.
Perfect. Then that would be something we should do, as long as you don't think you will attract any undue attention.
I don't think so.
Perfect. I love this plan already. All right, let's go. And with that, I'm going to mount Cyrodiil and begin to proceed.
So the plan is to, basically just you explain what happens.
Yeah, basically exactly what we're going to do, I imagine. But then Kameron has something in store for us, I think, once we arrive at our little hidey hole.
If there is some animals and birds nearby the town,
which apparently I missed. Sorry,
I could try and speak with them and ask if they know anything of what happened here.
So the idea is you want to get to like a wooded, basically like a copse of trees.
Yeah, I'm thinking like a downed like trunk of a tree that we hide behind.
Yeah.
Quite like thick bush in front of us, but just enough of a break in the tree line for us, or at least for me, to see through to the town and the surrounding area. Obviously, we can't cover the town in 360, but just with our distance, we should be able to see quite a large field of view.
You'll be able to see quite a bit. However, close to the town, as mentioned before, is the fields. And as you proceed, you also see a small pond there, but there's not a lot of cover right close by to the.
While we're waiting for nighttime.
So as we wait for nightfall, Kameron, you wish to speak with the birds in the trees.
Yeah, if I can find something that's relatively intelligent in bird kind, You know, like a crow. I don't know what birds we have in this
Yeah,
universe.
it's entirely like crows, jackdaws
Raven, something like
will
that.
be around.
I'll pick one out and I will attempt to use this, and I'll explain to Tyrael that this may not work. They can choose not to speak with me if they wish, but it is something I've picked up in my travels. It's useful. I see many things.
Oh yes. My people have a less direct manner of doing what I believe you're intending on. But please do enlighten us. I
I'll show you.
don't believe I've seen
sort of
human
human
sorcery
ants.
in an age.
Do I? Sorry, real master. Do I roll this from the spell list you made?
Yeah, you can.
I just roll it straight.
Yeah, you can press the die button, I believe.
Okay, so I'm rolling for bird. Is it counts as a bird? Birds up for 4 or 5, I think.
Okay.
Let's go.
I will highlight before we do this. Sorcery, if you flub it, and even if you don't, it might tax you. It might you might take a hit on your stamina.
Yeah, I've noticed
Those
there's
are
a cost.
fatigue points, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the base obstacle then? Is it what's on the list?
It should be on the. You can put the text by the the speech bubble on the spell. You can click that, and it will throw the spell into the chat. So we're trying to talk to. Yeah, we're trying to talk to birds, and that is obstacle 5.
That sounds tough. That sounds difficult.
It is.
I will attempt.
Tricky.
Oh, you've got a 6 in there. If you want to spend now, this is already open because this is magical. So it already rolled one more for you with that, but because you can still spend Fate Artha on open-ended rolls already, you can actually re-roll one of your failed ones. Okay, you can re-roll 1 die if you spend a fate point here, and you have 1/3 there, which is a failure.
I kind of feel like that's worth it.
It is very much worth it in this case.
I'm gonna give it a shot then. So I reduce my fate by 1.
Yes.
And just roll the 6.
Yeah, just roll a d6.
Roll a d6. Yeah.
4, 5, 6. You get the actual spell off. Nah.
Oh.
So close.
So let me actually. I forgot to get the actual rule book. One moment.
The book.
And that's a shame because, like, I think with sorcery, unless there's like another human sorcerer with us, would be one of those things that would be hard to like do help actions on or something like that. So you know what I mean? Or else, I'd be jumping right in there, being like, "Oh, maybe I'll sing to the birds to kind of draw their attention to us," and
So if I've passed it,
not that kind of system, though, guys.
Do I have to then click a thing? Because I then
we're gonna go into it now.
He's gonna review it.
Yeah, you did it now.
Yeah, we're hitting all the highlights. Don't worry, I'm gonna bring out the Elven songs next too. So we're gonna hit all the magical highlights before we even hit this town.
Okay, so a sorcerer who, there's a couple things we're going to do here. So a sorcerer who botches a casting, so it doesn't meet the obstacle, is subject to 3 possible outcomes. So please give me another d6, Matthew.
Just a d6.
You might have a die of fate button on the sheet there that you can click. It rolls up 1 die.
Fate. Oh.
It might be there. I'm not sure if it's on every single page, but if you see die of fate, it just rolls a d6. And we go. 6. Okay, so harmless dissipation. So it doesn't go haywire.
That happened the other way around.
Yeah, no, seriously, it would have been nicer before or earlier, right?
Yeah. So the possible options here are harmless dissipation, garbled transmission, which is my favorite thing, and the last one is unwanted summoning. These could be the results of like sorcery gone haywire. Garbled transmission is incredible because what we do is we basically there's a thing here. You can probably see the outline of it. It's a wheel structure which has all the elements of your spell, and we're gonna randomize those a little bit because you fucked up the thing. It doesn't come through as you intended. It might be something entirely different. So that produces some incredible results.
So I have a question. So narratively speaking, like, does that mean he gets something and like miscommute or like and he like misunderstands
something
it, or
something happens. The spell goes off, but it's not the spell you were trying to do.
It's not the thing that you wanted
yeah,
to.
It might be something entirely different.
Okay.
Because every aspect
it's like
of
beyond. Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, that's even
so
crazier. Okay.
basically, spells have.
reach out and something answers.
Yeah, spells have like 5 different components,
Yeah.
and when the garbled transmission happens, we sort of nudge all of those forward a bit, and
Got it.
falls on a different part of the wheel.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Something else happens entirely. Yeah,
I do like the sound of that, but I don't know if I like the possibility of that consequence in the situation.
Because I failed, I also get a tick somewhere, like for the skill.
Yeah, but for the skill, let's deal with that, I guess. You can put down for your sorcery. So find your skill list and your sorcery.
Sorcery, where are you?
And you can tick one of the dots for challenging. So the rightmost one.
The right one. Okay. What happens when I fill this up?
I'll open your sheet so that I know the numbers. So for sorcery, you require, as you see there on the row, you need 4 of the first collection of dots. You need 2 of the second collection of dots and 1 which you already got now.
Just got.
Yeah. So once you get 4 into the first batch, 2 into the second batch, you will advance your sorcery.
Ooh, okay. It'll become a 5 skill.
Yeah.
Right.
That is correct. And you can put down the fate here. I'll put it down for you to demonstrate. So I put down 1 in the fate bubble there for the sorcery. Mm-hmm. So we can keep track of which skills you spent your points on. Right. Okay. To the tax part. So right. So your fort, and let's find this here on the sheet. So your fort is going down by 1, and I will test this now. I put 1 fatigue under your fort score. I'll roll that and see what happens, because I don't know if the sheet tracks that. Yeah, it does. Tax 1. Okay.
Tax, yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah. So, you will recover that with rest. So,
nothing's going to happen to us. Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
You speak. Actually, let us know about the idiom of your sorcery. Like, what's your sorcery like? What do you do to cast a spell?
In this, oh gosh. Okay.
You're on the spot, bro.
I wasn't prepared for this with my sorcerer.
I was just trying to think. It works differently to summoning. So I imagine.
It does, yeah, very different.
Sorcery doesn't work like that.
Sorcery doesn't work that way.
Okay. Is it like in the book? Is it component based or anything like that, or is it? I mean, it's just complete whatever I want it to.
Basically, there's 2 major idioms for it. It's either you speak or you make movements, but we can come up with whatever methods we want.
So yeah, I think it's a movement based. Yeah, kind of like.
Like you're avataring it up as you summon the bird to speak to you and all. Yeah.
John's very distracted with this big fish cardboard box. I'm just trying to think of like how it transfers into actual. Like... how it differs.
No, we're doing the turkey. He's like, like that.
So what you're doing is you're trying to basically lay the spell on yourself so that you can speak the speech of animals, specifically birds. So is it like just the somatic like hand movements or?
drawing like things in the air, like the strange style.
Yeah, like Witcher style, with the signs.
Kind of, yeah. I think I'm trying. Because I'm trying to think. Well, how does my summoning work? And is that like is there a
Your summoning is entirely
its own thing? Yeah.
it's you're calling on the entity. It is the classic. You don't have to, because you have the power. You don't have to put down the pentagram, but you can, and it will help you. Basically, summoning is you calling out across the universe into this other place. You're imploring the creature to come here and be summoned. That's a very different kind of like ritual thing. And it is very, it is itself in every implementation, really. Like the art is sort of set, like it doesn't really diverge too much. There's the summoning circles you could draw, different kinds, but the act is always the same. You call something here, and that is it.
Right. So what I'm going to say is the gestures, they're kind of like it's based on a language, almost like sort of spoken language. This is only one that you can actually carve out. It's like it relates to obviously a previous age for going full Tolkien.
So you're
fragments.
So are you speaking the language of the Old High Kingdom then, or?
Yeah, let's do that. Sounds like a clean way of doing it.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you start speaking the spell on yourself, and I think the end effect is you've completed your incantation, and the flock of birds disperses.
I sort of look at Tyrael. I think I said, they're not always in a talkative mood.
I'm not acquainted with the old tongue of your ancient kingdom. Well, ancient is relative, but I don't believe that was, hey, welcome, I need some information. And was that a little more along the lines of piss off? I think is how you humans put it.
That's
just wondering.
That's one way to interpret their response.
Don't worry, Kameron. You'll have your chance to prove yourself before long. I appreciate the effort, of course. Don't you, Glarvir? Isn't it great that Kameron tried to speak to the birds for us?
Oh, is that what he was doing?
Yes, Glarvir. Have you not been paying attention?
I was, but I'm even less familiar with the humans' medium-aged tongue than you are. Dwarven enchantments are very rare and very different. They're more concerned with stone and the earth and the runes. I don't really.
You don't say.
We don't dabble with like the realms of the air. So I apologize, Kameron. I don't mean any disrespect, but I have no knowledge of whatever it is that you're doing. Looked very interesting, though. Did you find out anything, or?
Sadly, he did not.
They weren't.
They weren't in a communicative mood.
Well, the forces of the mystic are very difficult to manipulate. As you've seen, I've tried a number of times this evening, and I've had no luck myself. So sometimes the tides of the mystic are just not with you. So don't feel too bad about it, Kameron. I'm sure, as Tyrael was saying, you'll have more chances to prove yourself as the evening goes on. If, as I suspect, this isn't quite as simple as just moseying into a village and collecting some information.
It won't be at all.
Well, we certainly hope so.
But maybe perhaps you'll have a chance to partake of some elven magic later in the evening. Well, perhaps maybe I'll have better success. Well, as we say, these things are perstickety.
And the sheer reputation could sustain your failure.
Oh, don't I know it? Well, luckily none of you are elves.
Well, I'm sure.
Back to the homeland.
I'm sure there'll be plenty of partaking going on this evening.
Well, no. After we worked, Glarvir. After we worked, I need you sober, man.
It's just a drop. It's not enough to get me drunk. This is only some of that human ale we got from that. It's practically water anyway. You couldn't get a dwarven child drunk on this,
as you would say in the human lands. Ancestors.
We'd wean our children on this. You wouldn't drink it to get drunk.
Do you really?
Well, yes, of course. You have to start them young, get them accustomed to the weaker stuff before they can learn to appreciate the good stuff later on. After all, once you've tried the worst, there's only one way to go, and that's up, up, up.
And I suppose, like any other skill, that the taste of a beer is something acquired over a long period of time. I hadn't thought of it that way.
Well, that said, and my people are very hardy, even as youths.
Indeed.
I'm just doing a test roll, by the way. Sorry, guys, didn't realize it actually went.
I think we should lower our volume.
Yes, I quite agree.
Glarvir, I said lower your volume.
I have lowered it.
You listen to me now, Glarvir. Lower your volume.
How about this?
I'll take it.
Splendid.
Wonderful.
I don't know how long I can maintain this wretched whisper for, but I'm sure
at least until nightfall.
Very well.
You need to be silent all the way approaching the town.
I
know you can do it. I believe in you, Glarvir.
Well.
Besides, remember, tonight is your first opportunity to perform deeds worthy of song.
Oh, yes.
If you're ever going to win your lady love, and if I'm ever going to write this ballad that I promised you, I need to see some action from you.
Is it nighttime now?
No, not quite yet. I don't think.
Evening, because the trigger for your action is now when it's dark. Like that's when you want to do your thing. So
yes, it is.
It's the period before that.
Okay.
I feel I might be opening kind of worse here, but did we establish if this place we have has moons?
We did not.
Have what?
Moons, like
our world.
I've kind of established in my own notes that there's at least one.
I'd imagine
I
there has to be
referred to
at least
it.
one. Yeah.
But do we want to? What were you thinking, Matthew?
I just I like I like things like linking up quite nicely. So I like the idea there's 3 moons.
Yeah. Sure.
And that people have like. I mean, it could be completely different, but like the cultures in this world obviously associate one moon, like elves associate with one, dwarves with another, humans with another, and that's just they've just bagged one. Whether or not that has any actual mystical meaning or meaning on the actual
I
world,
was going to suggest exactly the same thing, Matthew.
Yeah.
I would also like to suggest, just because let's lean into it. If we're going to go for it, let's go the whole hog. I would like to suggest that at the point where you have to do the ceremony with the crowns, it's when like the 3 moons are aligned. That's when
they're aligned in like an eclipse or whatever, right?
Because then you could also potentially say that like when the human crown was lost, it was when like the human moon was in like an eclipse. So maybe it was fated. It wasn't just like there.
I like that.
Or maybe it was the machinations of like the darkness. We don't know, but it was what was going on below was reflected above.
I was going to suggest a rumor as well that some of the greatest dwarven stonework comes from the moon. Like they rumor
like moon meteorites,
meteoric iron.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the moon dwarves.
The moon, no, like
distant
moon dwarves.
Hey,
they're the ones who walk backwards.
Stranger Things in fantasy.
They're the ones who walk backwards all the time.
Yeah.
Just 3 crowns, 3 kingdoms, and 3 moons seems to sync up quite nicely.
I'll make some notes as well for like something like harmony of spheres about choirs and everything after the
I'm gonna have to make a note of this before I forget.
But I like the ritual idea a lot too. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So 3 moons.
Because like, if it gets dark and there's nothing in the sky, that seems like a problem to me.
To you, not less so for me and Glarvir, but. Don't worry, Glarvir's got your back. And when we get started, it's going to light up real quick.
Right. Yeah.
You know what? If fighting does kick off, I'm going to be like short round for Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom. I'm just running around the scene.
Hey, Short Moon was extremely useful in every scene he was in with Indy.
He was.
He always pulled his weight for being like 9 and tiny, and like half starved and emaciated because he's working in like.
He drove a car at one point.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
He fought,
to be fair,
this Indian like bodyguard with a giant sword.
He's a tiny kid surrounded by like thuggy
Yeah.
cultists, whip cracking badasses, and like Nazi soldiers. Like, what were you expecting him to do? He did pretty well, all things considered.
Instead of the blood spell by burning the shadow. I mean, he's like the whole movie. Like, didn't even fuck about short round.
Yeah.
So if you are short round, then we need you.
So let's find out.
Succeed without you.
I'm definitely going to.
So if it is nighttime now that we have, if we reach nighttime.
Yeah, so you've watched the surrounding area. So Vorbek is right there. The paved remnants of this ancient road lead there. And now, because you're quite close to Vorbek and you're sort of in the hill area, the mountains themselves, of course, still loom quite close there. But now, because you're closer to Vorbek and Vorbek is at the edge of the ancient pine forest of the Weeping Weald, you can also kind of make that out much more than you would before, because it would be like a dark blur on the foothills and the hills before. But now that you're closer, you can start to see some like defining bits of the Weeping Weald as well, and it is quite close to Vorbek.
So before we begin our approach, I need to use some magic. I would like to sing the Threne of the Chameleon, which is a song, an elven song, that allows me to bump up my stealthy score if I want to, however much I want, really. It depends on how well I think I can roll. So the spell song allows me to set my own difficulty, which then translates into the bonus that I receive to stealthy if I succeed. So I'm going to check a 2 because that's a routine for me and with my skill level. I've done a look. Finally found the chart there, so I finally understand how to do this now. So if you don't mind, I will give that a quick roll and see if I can bump me up a bit.
So Glarvir and Kameron don't really hear anything because this is
a very quiet song. It's like
this is a spell song. It is more quiet than a whisper.
Yeah, exactly. So they might hear like almost like a melodic breath come out of my mouth, but not maybe fully understand what I'm doing. Let me just see if I get any successes. Oh, the 2 is my obstacle. Okay, so question.
6.
Oh, there. Okay, so I could if I want to, which I may actually. But if I failed it, I would still get a bump on my routine to build up the skill. Yes?
Yeah. You always get that. It doesn't matter.
Oh, I always get that regardless?
Yeah.
Oh, got it.
There's a couple things that you need to succeed with, but I don't think you have any of those aside from resources. So everything else, you always mark whatever the...
Oh, really? It's just by using it. I thought you had to fail.
Yeah.
Oh, that's even better. I kind of wouldn't mind having the extra bump because that would make me super stealthy.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Is that worth a pay point? Getting me on my stealth up to 6?
I mean, it's elf magic. I know nothing about elf magic, so you.
Well, this would bump my stealth up to 6.
You, dude.
So, which is a pretty hefty roll for us.
You've got to spend those points somewhere, right?
Yeah,
so
right. We get them back in the session. Anyway,
yeah, they're made to be spent.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it. So do I just hit the fate reroll button then to see if that?
Yeah, give it a try. I'm not sure how it works.
Remaining obstacle would be 1. That's true because that's the margin of difference. The dice is only 1 because I'm only gonna be re-rolling 1. No, it doesn't look like it did it. All right.
Yep, no.
All right, that's fine.
Right.
It fails to take. I look the same.
So you whisper, and while you do sing
Ancestors,
to the
have
shadows,
you abandoned me?
It's not a malicious thing. You are singing to the aspect of nature that would be hiding your approach.
Shadows and the bending of light and things of that.
And there's as you whisper this, and you are nearing the end of your stanzas, there's a from the village. It is very far away, and that shriek was closer than it should have been. It's with a quick sweep. We have 2 individuals here who can see fairly well in low light. There's not a person there to shriek, but you heard a shriek from the village itself.
So can I say that like it broke my concentration on my song?
Yes,
and can I immediately try to focus on the source of the noise?
Not only did it break your concentration, but it also just sapped the. Like it didn't even matter that it broke your concentration. It sapped whatever you were trying to do.
Yeah. So can we like? I want to immediately just look up and straight to wherever I heard that sound and see what I can see with mine.
Yeah, you're far enough away.
Elven eyes.
You're far enough away that you don't see anything really, aside from whatever you saw in daylight.
My 9 perception won't help me try to.
Nothing has like this is me saying yes once again.
I see. So basically,
explicitly, you see nothing.
I see nothing, but there's something there because we heard it.
Well,
I see what you mean.
Something had to make the noise. That's true.
I see how that plays out. Okay, I apologize.
Yeah,
you're just obviating the roll because it's obvious.
Because we don't need to roll for it. You get the straight information, which is there's no one there to yell, but the noise had to come from somewhere. So
okay. Using my iron memory and thinking back through my many hundreds of years on the battlefields ranging through the countryside as a proud dwarven warrior, have I ever obviously if it's just like a person going like ah! I realise that, but if it's not just like a person shouting, I'm going to try and rack my mind to see if I've heard a similar sound, so I could maybe think, oh, maybe that's this type of animal, or
it was a person noise. You made that out.
Tyrael, I think it was a person.
Yeah,
I say Tyrael, I think it was a person.
God. Quietly. We're supposed to be approaching in stealth. Carefully. I know this is not to your strengths, Glarvir, but just follow my lead. I've been doing this for ages. Probably most of your natural lifetime.
Very well. I suppose there's a grain of truth to that.
I'm not trying to, throw my weight around, as it were, but just follow my lead. We should make it there all right.
Very well. What's next, then?
All right. I was going to... Unfortunately, I'm having about as much success with the powers that form our creation as you two are this evening, so I'm not quite as hidden as I would have liked to have been, but I was going to suggest that we approach from 2 directions. We keep within eyesight of each other, though. Well, you and I keep within eyesight of each other, Glarvir, and we attempt to approach in a more of a pincer. We don't want to come just straight up the road as a line or anything like that. Easy way to get ourselves killed.
Yeah, quite.
And try to do so stealthily. Stay to the shadows. Keep to the brush, as it were. We're going through an open field. If they have eyes like ours, then they're going to see us approaching from a mile away, no matter what we do.
If there's a band of elves there, we may have more trouble than we can handle.
Perish the thought. Well, I don't know what elves would be doing out here attacking human towns, but...
Well, I'm quite happy to go with your plan, Tyrael, but as you yourself have pointed out, I'm not exactly a stealthy person. I'm more of a sort of large dwarf in heavy armor that moves quite slowly. So I'm quite willing to give your plan a try. All I'm saying is
I'm going to approach slowly. It's not an issue. We don't want to be seen or heard.
All I'm going to say is, even if I stay quiet, vocally, I'm not going to be quiet as I move.
Yes, right. I'm sorry. That's not a problem we normally have with our own armor.
Glarvir says that and taps the fucking keg that he carries around.
Yeah. I'm like, you see, this is built for the purposes of protection. It's mainly for use on the battlefield, where stealth in confrontations where stealth isn't really the thing. That's not how we dwarves fight.
All right. Question then: how quickly do the two of you think you can run through that field in a pin?
Not very fucking quickly.
Not amazingly fast.
All right. So it's
and I'll be about half as fast as him.
So it's either that we approach together slowly so that we can cover each other and using the darkness hopefully to keep us shielded, or I go in by myself and then alert you to the danger from there.
Can I
And then
make
you have to then charge across the field.
Can I make an alternate suggestion? I know
Sure.
something about tactics from my days on the battlefield.
I would love to hear about dwarven tactics.
Not necessarily dwarven tactics. It just seems to, as a matter of common sense to me, we know for a fact that when I move, there's going to be a certain, shall we say, loudness to my movements.
Yes.
Since we know that and we can't really avoid it, so I don't plan to be like getting out of all my armor and stowing it in dangerous situations.
I understand.
So
yes.
we may as well take that into account with our plan. So what I suggest is the two of you approach from one side, I will approach from a different side, then hopefully, if anyone is heard, it will be me, and therefore, through my noisiness, I will be protecting the two of you by drawing attention away.
That's very, very brave, but...
It's not brave, it's simple tactics.
No, that's suicidal. Even with your armor, if there are men lying in wait, if you approach and you are seen alone, and if I'm not in a position to cover you, then you die.
I am...
Can we modify your plan slightly, sir?
But possibly, but let me tell you that as a runecaster, one of the great burdens that a runecaster carries, and why we are something of an outcast, is the rest of our kind regard us as slaves to fate. It is our curse that we know how, but not precisely when, we will meet our ultimate fates, and they are never pleasant. If it is my lot to meet my fate here today, I will not, which I do not believe it to be, but if it is, I will not shirk from that responsibility, for trying to avoid fate only brings grave misfortune on yourself and those you care for.
I would never presume to, shall we say, cast a shadow over one's religious beliefs. But
splendid, I'll drink to that.
I prefer to deal with the hard and fast that is in front of us. If I may just alter your plan just ever so slightly to incorporate my original. I think then the plan should be that you approach by the main road. If they are any good at their jobs, they should have at least a few scouts along their perimeter on that side of the town. Kameron and I can approach in through the fields via stealth, using the cover of darkness. But as long as I'm within an eye line of you and the eye line of the probable positions of said scouts, I can provide you covering fire as it is. And then, of course, you can do your dwarven charge thing with that axe, and however it is you do your.
Well, I'm hoping that won't be necessary, but you never know. But yes, I think your plan has great merit. I'm perfectly happy to give it a go.
Good. I'm glad we are in agreement.
Yeah.
So, although Tyrael did not want Glarvir having to be used as a distraction, clearly he's modified the plan to incorporate his suggestion and the unfortunate truth that his armor does make a big old clanking sound.
So it sounds to me like you're saying my coarse behavior has persuaded you.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, I would say that's a given there. We want to for skill purposes. But yes. So in that vein, obviously we proceed obviously with Glarvir by the road, and obviously with me and Kameron through the field, very within a visual range of both him and the front of the town, where I need to be able to know where I can shoot, basically. But I want to roll stealth. But now my question becomes, Wheelmaster, as I'm rolling my own stealth, is it possible that I assist Kameron to be stealthier? Because I'm the more experienced stealther between the two of us, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's different things we could do here.
Yeah, like give it a help die or something, just like anything to help him out, because I don't want him flubbing it and then.
Well, the one thing that I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And
I just don't know how it works in this particular.
Yeah. There's a couple of different things we could do. One which I propose we go for is, and this will give you some information, but you can get across the field stealthily. We don't need to roll for that.
Okay.
You can just do it. And as you do so, well, unfortunately, we don't have Kameron here right now, but
he'll reappear when he wants to.
So you can be, if you so choose, you can be all stealth across the field, and Glarvir can do his thing. There's a couple different things we could do with things like that down the line. We don't need to do it right now.
Yeah, sure.
But there's what's called link test, which is you roll your thing to hopefully influence Kameron's thing when Kameron rolls his thing.
I thought there might be something kind of like that in this kind of system.
That's
I
one.
like that. Okay,
and
cool.
there's like direct help, as we did last time as well,
Sure,
where
which
you,
is like
you
a
say,
help die, basically.
I want to give you this because I can help you directly.
Sure.
And the difference there is, of course, there's a couple things going on differently, but one of the things is in link tests, you're not bound to whatever happens next with the next roll. But if you give helping dice, then you're in the sort of resolution of that thing. Link tests, you don't have to be. And link tests are something that can be used to cover like large things. For example, like sea voyage, like, oh, we need to get into this pirate.
Right.
We need to go to this pirate island over there. So like, first off, we're gonna need to be very quick because we're jacking a boat from the harbor here in our own harbor for some reason. Then we roll for that. Like, someone rolls like the jack the boat roll, and then we roll for someone to make the boat go, like rope stuff and whatnot, like seamanship.
Right.
And then we might roll like orienteering or charting, and then we might roll something else entirely as we try and avoid trouble with the pirates. And all those could be link tests influencing the other, and then we cover like this whole sea voyage in a series of like 4 rolls. But now that we have Kameron here, let's resume. So Kameron, Tyrael, you are across the fields, stealthy as can be. Glarvir, what are you doing?
Well, obviously, I'm going to try and not make too much noise as I'm approaching, but there will be a certain amount of noise because I'm wearing metal armor, etc. So my plan is I'm not just gonna bold as brass like stroll down the middle of the road. I'm going to be trying to keep to the shadows, keep to the edges of the road, but just naturally via virtue of the equipment that I'm carrying, I will be noisier than Tyrael and Kameron. But I am going to try and be stealthy. I'm just not expecting it to work particularly well. Since to use game terms, I don't actually have the skill.
Which, as we know,
stealth
is not a
skill.
Yes.
Yeah, stealthy is a skill. Yeah.
I'm with you right there. With you right.
Yeah.
I was going to cover your weakness in that if we came to it with a roll.
Yeah.
But,
I'm gonna flank the elf and do my best to like.
Yeah, we did our best together. We got there. So, real quick to jump in on you both before we actually go into the city, I have a spell song that hopefully will work that can apply before we enter. It's called Air of the Gates. Now, it'll allow me to ascertain what lies beyond basically any portal that enters into a place. So since this town, I presume, has some kind of a gate.
It's a village. So let me read this thing here. So
yeah, go for it. Okay. Otherwise,
now that you're past the fields, there's the pond as well, which you passed by with some. I think there's probably like a couple birds there, just trying to sleep. So the village is a collection of a couple dozen houses arranged in like a slightly like circular thing. Like, there's a giant old oak in the middle, which serves as kind of like the landmark around which the village has grown up.
Common green, basically.
Yeah. So there's a big oak, and that's where the road heads, by the way, Glarvir. Like, you can see the road going straight to the oak, and it sort of like builds this circular clear area around it of paved stone as well. You can see it from your position on the road. So it looks like the oak was there when the road was built, because the road includes a thing for the oak. But we'll talk more about that as we get closer. So it's a couple dozen houses in like a rough circular arrangement around this central feature and the road which goes through it.
Not walled? I should have asked this earlier when I scouted.
It's not walled. No.
Okay, so that makes sense then. Okay, apologies.
It's it reads to you like a peasant village.
Yeah.
like a
I really should
logging
have asked that
village,
earlier.
something like that.
Yeah, it's my bad.
Yep. So, Glarvir, you can see into the village central area, and so can Tyrael and Kameron, really, because there's no fences really. Like there's some fencing, like, oh, this is our patch of the garden, like that kind of. But there's no palisades, there's no gates as such, no walls. But you have these residential houses, and then a couple of big ones as well, where you presume like that one of those would be maybe like the common hall of the village and whatnot. So, and some storage buildings there as well. But a couple dozen like domiciles that you can see in the central. Again, is this road goes straight into the center of the village, meets the large oak, and turns into kind of like a square, like a village square of paved ground, and it is quite dark. You can make everything out quite well, but details are quite hidden from all of your eyes in the dark as well, unless you get close. But you can see and hear no movement, and there's no lights, and there's no scent of smoke or fires. None of you are currently inside the village perimeter as such. You're right there on the edge looking in.
So in a lot of out of character, this is my understanding as well. In a lot of sort of medieval style human villages, or at least say like in medieval England, for example, there would have been some sort of a common building, whether that was like just like a large building for like people cooked and together and ate together, or if it was like sort of evolved into a more complex tavern or that sort of thing. Is there sort of like a bigger building that could be like a common hall or something like that?
One of the buildings on the edge of this like village square type thing where the oak is. There's one that looks kind of like the hall for that kind of purpose.
I guess because I'm thinking this is not a very defensible place.
No.
Their best defense would probably have been to try to flee to the woods, I'd imagine, if they were to go anywhere at all.
Or the hills somewhere.
Right, exactly. But if they were going to stick to the town, say they had soldiers, perhaps they thought they were protected, they might have ran into their common building as being more defensible potentially. That's the only thing that Tyrael can think of at this with a little bit of information that we have.
Well,
so
I was going to say as well, as we're approaching, Glarvir's fairly sort of skilled in like foraging, which is obviously, you have to look for natural, and likewise Tyrael, you have to look for like natural signs in the landscape and signs of disturbance and stuff like that.
Yeah, I have a song of tracking as well that could help us if there's
but basically I'm just thinking we'll probably be, as we're approaching from our various directions,
that's a good idea.
We'll probably be looking for like any sort of signs, like trampled grass or whatever.
That's it, totally.
Anything to give a clue as to like whether the people have left, are they still here? Has there been some sort of great big battle here? That sort of thing.
We've been more or less met up on the hilltop of Vorbek. We're about to enter the town proper. What I might suggest then is, and Kameron can kind of see at this point or not? He can see well enough to maneuver around?
Okay. No, it's not, because we have 3 goddamn moons. It's probably quite
bright in the sky.
There's a fair amount of light going around as well, and
So then my suggestion, I'm gonna do this without speaking. I'm gonna just and then point to the common building, and then I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna basically make some motions that it suggests that we should all approach the building from separate directions. So I'm gonna go around. I'll approach it from what I'm gonna presume is it's west, and then maybe someone can go. I'm thinking Kameron can go around to the west because he's quieter, in theory, and then Glarvir can maybe just go up the middle. And
can I ask another daft question as well, as we learn this?
Yeah.
So I've got this magic, right? And
here we go.
You've got a spell.
I've got spells and magic and summoning. Can I use my sorcery skill to understand if magic has been used in an area, or is that
If you have a spell
effect?
for that, if you have a spell for
You have to have the
yes.
magic spell for it,
Yeah.
right?
Aura reading would be a skill that you might use for that kind of stuff.
Right. Okay.
Perhaps, or some kind of magical effect, but
So
not straight
Certain
up
ones at
sorcery.
least.
No.
Yeah.
right. All right. That's cool. I just
But,
wondered because if necromancy had been used and I could pick it up or something like
Yeah.
that.
You're gonna really need to pick up that spell that teaches you how to sense magic.
if you come across like the trappings of summoning, you know the ins and out of that all the way. So you'll be able
If you
to
find a
identify
dead
that.
body, I mean, I'm all over that. Just you watch.
So you're heading in
Yeah.
towards
So
the
we're east,
hall.
west east up the gut, and then
What
we'll-
is the hall made out of? Sorry.
Wood.
it's all wood, I believe. pretty much,
Everything's
yeah.
everything's
Nah.
wood. Yep.
Thatched wood. I'm assuming
Wood.
thatched.
Who builds
There's
houses out of
roofs
wood?
The stone here is
Primitives,
aside from
what do you want?
like some maybe utility stones here and there, but
Yeah.
most
like
of the stone
ovens.
is the old ancient paved road that comes in and surrounds the oak, which now that you're sort of getting into the village, you can see it continues north. It's like a straight shot through the village, and it turns into like a small village, like common cleared area around the oak, and then it just continues on. To the
Okay,
north.
so as we're getting up to the main sort of hall, again, I want to try and use the reason of old stone on the sort of roads and like whatever keystones are around. And this time, I'm going for recent events surrounding the stone that have left evidence, which is only obstacle 3, because I'm assuming what happened here happened fairly recently. So.
I'll say let's put a pin in that.
Yeah, that's fine.
As I've got some more description here. As you
Yeah, because I got stuff to
actually,
do once we get to the house.
yeah,
as well, so.
actually are in the village now. So, yeah, it looks to you as you wander in from your various approach vectors, it does look abandoned. You can see no one here. You can see some houses as you pass them, and some of the structures here look more hastily left than perhaps others. You see no corpses laying in the streets. There's like some house might be all locked up and tidy. Another house might have the door open and there's like some stuff strewn about. You find no people though, and there's like various paces of perhaps speed when people left.
Looked like people left in a hurry.
Yeah, some people did. Some people didn't. Some people left with
In a more orderly fashion.
yeah, in an orderly fashion. Yeah. So yeah, because it's not a huge village, and now that you've sort of gotten into the middle of it, really, there is the massive gnarled oak grove. Which it does look like there's some there's probably some like stands there for various like village events, like we need to set up like the pumpkin fair here, so we'll have like tables and stuff. There's stuff like that there. The thing that really strikes you the first as you sort of converge in the middle, having concluded don't see anyone, you're sort of approaching as you do from here, all from sort of this angle. There's a large portion of the bark on the oak that has been carved away to expose the sort of trunk beneath, and that is directly in your direction as you approach the middle of the village, and you can see writing on it, and it has indeed been carved into the trunk of the tree, but it has also been stained with something to further make out the text of it. So
is it in a language we all understand?
it is in, and I'm gonna say this is yeah it's intelligible to the lot of you. It is in an old dialect of the sort of northern,
The common.
it's an old northern dialect of humans, and in there is the following, and it is a very like archaic in nature, and this is my rendition of it. So, let it be known that the people of Vorbek have renounced the yoke of Strathfell, and henceforth swear allegiance to the true king, cursing the name of the sheep-blooded fool Beric. Long have the followers of this degenerate raised swords against the king, raided the Weeping Weald and other domains of the king. The peddlers of fire pillage and burn holdings and the king's servants in the name of delusion. No longer. The king decrees that the Lord Beric will surrender himself for judgment, and upon making amends may rule Strathfell in the name of the king. The fire bearers have been judged and shall know no mercy. Upon further aggression or refusal to surrender, Strathfell and all other lands that offend the king shall be claimed. This has been carved by order of the king and at the behest of Essagar, the magistrate of the Weeping Weald. I'll put that all in chat for your purposes.
There's my notes. So that they make they're very vague about this king and who they are and what they are.
It seems to be a given to whoever's writing this.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Essagar, magistrate of Vorbek.
So if I'm reading this correctly, Tyrael and Kameron, these people here who at Vorbek, who presumably have sworn oaths of fealty and loyalty to Lord Beric, have renounced these oaths and forsaken them for the
Traitorous rebel scum, I believe, would be the way we would say, yes.
Yes. What kind of wretched ingrate forsakes their oaths to their rightful ruler?
Humans. Quite frequently, actually. Sorry, Cameron, I'm not trying to offend, but
Again, none taken.
your concepts of oath and fealty to ourselves are a bit rudimentary, to say the least. You know. But we measure an oath given in centuries, not in years, you know, so it makes it a little difficult for us to sometimes bridge that.
As Tyrael's sort of debating this with Kameron, I'm just like looking around for like a piece of like sharp stone. So.
Oh yeah, there's and as you do, you find actually, you do find some stones and you figure, oh yeah, this used to be like someone's like smashed this construction. You can find some mortar on it, and you come upon this small shrine of the Covenant of the First Flame. Like it's just like a roadside, like very small votive shrine, which used to be here in the like close by to the oak, which has been just smashed onto the ground.
Kameron, seems to be some sort of shrine here. I don't claim to know much about human religions. What do you make of it?
I will have a look to see if I can make any sense of it.
Yeah, it's a you see this all over the place where you're from. It's a roadside or peasant shrine, which is a simple wooden or stone construction with a small bowl where embers and like oils can be lit. But it has like a small sort of roof over the thing so the rain doesn't put it out immediately, but it's been made from mostly mortar and stone, and it has been just pushed over and crushed.
Interesting. Well, I'm no fan of the church. Interesting that they would destroy the shrine here.
As Cameron's investigating that, and Glarvir is having his moment to deal with the infidelity of humans. Now that we have a name and some idea of a station, I want to find this Essagar, the magistrate's house. We need information. I need to know anything he knows about whoever this king is, wherever the locations might be. Otherwise, it's not going to be that hard to track humans wandering through a forest. But if they're woods people, it could be more challenging. So I'd rather have.
Do you not have cult-wise?
No, I have dark wise. So unless this king is like the king of the dark ones, then.
So I presume you're poking about then. Is that...
I do have fealty wise though, which could help later on, but. Yeah, I want to poke about,
Yeah.
basically.
So as you do poke about, you do note that there's like from here where you've been, reading this and looking at the shrine and all this, you note that there's a couple of ropes attached to some of the branches of the oak that head into the northern direction, and it is a massive tree, so you can't quite see what they're attached to from this side, but you do note that they've like something is in the tree by ropes on the other side of the giant trunk.
Something's hanging from the tree.
Yeah, something's probably there. The ropes aren't moving, but
There a bit of no swaying motions going?
No.
All right, well, yeah. This is something I have seen as we've traveled through human lands quite frequently, I imagine.
Oh, yes.
So I'm going to approach carefully, but not unnerved or unsurprised at what I might find. Mm-hmm. So I will approach that side of the tree and these ropes.
Yeah. So you round the tree, which I need to stress this is a big tree, which
it sounds huge. It's
like Glarvir has some understanding of the age of the stone here, and the tree was here before they put the road here because they grew around it.
The road, then.
The tree, even. The tree is very, very old.
Not as old as me, probably, but
maybe not, but
close to it.
Yeah, it's very old. So also it's been growing quite a bit. So you round the tree, and you come upon a curious sight. So there is a large, and feel free, by the way, Glarvir and Kameron, to interject and do your thing. But for all of you who desire to wander about here, you will instantly clock this as you move around the tree. There's a large human, and when I say large, we'll get to it here. So large human who is nailed to the trunk of the tree with stakes, so like stake through here, like between the muscle and the bones, and same with the legs, a couple through the abdomen as well. And it is partially supported by frayed ropes, like it's been hung against the trunk probably, and then nailed in,
and then staked,
and the ropes are still in this corpse. The individual is about 2.5 meters tall.
That's really big for human.
It's wiry, and it's about 8 feet for
I know.
Yeah. So, but
my metric's not that weak, but it's not that weak.
Yeah, but I wanted to clarify it because I needed to clarify that. Like, what are we talking in feet here? So, the individual is about 2.5 meters tall and is wiry and withered looking. Their skin is grayed and leathery, and their hair is stringy and pale. The corpse, and this is very much a corpse. It's a gray, big human corpse that's been nailed to the tree, and it's like leached of color. it's almost like a withered bog mummy, I guess, at this point. The corpse,
gentlemen.
The corpse is wearing a tattered and stained tunic, as just a matter of course. It looks a bit tight on it though, because it's very large, this individual. But it's a withered one at this point. So it looks a bit awkward and small maybe on it. Around the neck of the corpse is a chain with some kind of necklace bit on it. And further, it's impaled through the sort of straight up in the chest with a sword. So it looks like it's like maybe the sequence of events was like string it up with the ropes, nail in the wooden stakes, and then pierce it with the sword as well. And it looks like the sword goes into the tree as well.
Is that one of Beric's men, do you reckon?
I mean, I doubt he has any gray withered giants in his employ. is a good assumption, or did you not say that there were priests here that were driven out as well? Was that not in the message they said?
The message says that the peddlers of fire pillage and burn holdings and the king's servants in the name of delusion. The fire bearers have been judged and shall know no mercy.
Well, I suggest this might be one of these fire bearers of isn't that one of your churches? Isn't that one of your main churches, isn't it? Is it not, Kameron?
I think that this is against the church.
Well, yes, I understand their statements against the church.
Yes, yes.
I'm saying this gentleman nailed and stabbed and hung on this tree could very well be one of these fire bearers.
Perhaps.
I mean, in all possibility, if this is a rebellion, it's entirely possible that this king made Beric's troops a better offer, and they simply just ran off with the villagers.
Yeah, there's no other corpse you've seen.
Their message was quite clear. Anyone who bends the knee to this king of whatever.
He sent men here, though, didn't he? He sent.
Beric did, yes. And what I'm suggesting here is that this is one of these fire bearer priests, or whatever you call them, and that the Beric's men either followed after the villagers into the Weeping Weald and either were taken there, or simply that they just turned coat. I mean, clearly the humans in this realm are not the most fidelous, so.
Okay, I'm just looking at my skills for a second.
Damn craven oath-breaking curs is what they are.
Yes, don't worry. I feel that we will be taking care of them very shortly there, Glarvir. You'll get your opportunity. They're clearly
I don't think
botched.
we were asked to take care of them. We were asked to report.
No, we were asked to discover the nature of the situation. And yes, we could return now and simply say that they ran off, but give them this strange door or plaque as evidence of that if we so chose. Personally speaking, if it were me, in his position, I would not say that what we provided was worth what he's offering.
Wheelmaster, with my memory forged like the sharpest of meteoric iron, can I recall exactly what... Because I've got the broad strokes written down in my notes, but can I record exactly what Lord Beric asked us to do? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm planning on going after these Oathbreakers anyway, but...
I imagine I would remember it as well. It's
like, so Lord Beric was sort of started out with, I would like to know what happens there, because no taxes, no harvest, no communiques, travelers from the north have stopped coming in, never mind Vorbek. And I've sent my people there, and they didn't come back. So
here's the thing: he's lost his men. We got to find out at least what happened to his men.
Like, I'd like to know what the fuck is going on in Vorbek, and also if you can find my men, if they turn to banditry, like capture them, bring them back. I'll deal with them.
That's right.
But,
he did say that.
The main thrust of it is, I've been trying for half a year to figure out what's going on in Vorbek. Please help me. Like, just give me some info on Vorbek and what's happening there. If you can fix it, do that.
I propose, gentlemen, that our task is not yet complete. We have no idea what happened to his men. We have no idea where these villagers ran off to. We don't even.
I agree.
And despite Glarvir's enthusiasm for punishing the Oathbreakers, we don't even know that they are Oathbreakers. They could have been taken against their wills, and this message could have been left behind as an instrument of terror in a new campaign against Beric City. I mean, we don't know. If we return now, we only know part of the story. If we go forward, we will learn the rest.
I agree, and I swore an oath to Lord Beric that I would find out what had occurred here, and as Tyrael rightly says, we only have half the picture here.
Maybe even less than.
Quite. I say, I agree with Tyrael. I say we attempt to find out what is at the heart of this dark matter, so that we may make a fuller report to Lord Beric.
I would suggest that we try to find any maps or scraps of information that may be within the town itself. And with our skills, Glarvir, we could probably easily pick up any trail in the Weeping Weald.
Oh, yeah.
We have to go north to solve this mystery, so north we shall go.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right, Tyrael. I suggest we fan out, find whatever we can in this village that might shed any light on it, and then, as you say, we press north towards the Weeping Weald and attempt to unravel this diabolical mystery.
Oh, as a word of note, we should probably keep anything we take to the practical and strictly practical. We don't want to make it seem as if we were looting. That was not why we came. So
I understand. Items of information and beer only.
Sure. I'm sure Lord Beric will be generous in forgiving that.
Knowledge isn't looting, it's enriching.
As is beer.
Yes, well.
Can I
Even human beer.
attempt? I don't know if I need an exact skill for this. Can I work out if this guy was killed in like a ritual of some description? It has more meaning than just murder.
It's certainly ritualistic, but I mean,
Yeah.
I think you're talking about a little bit more of like a magical way or magical ritual, right?
Yeah, like it was condemning his soul, or it was like giving it to something,
I'll give that to you because you know about these kinds of things, even if you don't exactly have the ritual skill. Yeah, it seems like a condemnation. It's not just, oh, we killed this guy. It's personal and also vindictive. And well, I think probably because there's not a lot of accoutrement here. There's the ropes, which that's not significant, but there's the wooden stakes, and then the sword is in the chest, which, by the way, doesn't seem to have been worn down by the elements. So the sword is still doing good, even though the rope is starting to go. So is the tunic, and then there's the necklace that this creature has.
That happened this happened some time ago, then, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it has. It seems like this has happened some time ago, but it does seem like this could very well be some kind of. It could have some more significance than just killing this person.
Yeah, it seems personal. It seems like a violation of this person's.
Yeah. It's a rebuke of this person.
And I'll say as much to my companions that this what this symbolizes, and if we meet these people, I don't expect a warm welcome from them.
Yes, all that was obvious, and they're quite savage. I expect to have to employ a fair degree of force in order to make our point.
Well,
however,
I wasn't imagining we'd be sitting down and having a pleasant drink with them. Let's put it that way.
No, they do not seem the type. Kameron, were you able to identify the necklace at all, or anything significant about the sword? If you could examine those while we attempt to find maps and other information about this king.
I could have a look, but I am reluctant to disturb this thing.
Do what you can without disturbing it, then.
Okay, I will observe and
use your human eyes, Kameron. I'm sure they will avail you mightily.
What do your human eyes see? Not a lot, because it's dark.
It's dark.
There's 3 moons, Kameron.
You do have traveling gear, so if you guys want to light up lanterns and torches, that is more than fine.
Would
I
that
could also use my
be better or
sorcery
worse
to
than
make
my
light
actual
bulbs.
eyes? At this
I
point?
think it would be better for you because it's not explicit. Like you can see in the darkness, you do need light to see.
Yeah. I don't have like pure on. Just no. I understand.
It's not night vision as such.
It'll sharpen my vision if I have light.
It would help if you had more light. Is the
No, I'm not. I don't think I'm still willing to assume that we're in a safe place. So I would rather keep that to a minimum, I think, for now. So, but yeah, I will want to rummage through some buildings and do some searching best I can, essentially, I guess, with my current ability to see. So.
Right. So we've got Tyrael and Glarvir. You're going through the houses, I guess.
Yeah.
And Kameron, you're doing what?
I'm investigating this mutilated individual a bit more. If I
Right.
could find anything about the sword or is the bracelet on the
necklace.
Necklace.
Sorry.
So we'll deal with Glarvir and Tyrael. So what we know your intent. You want to find something to do with the area, I suppose. Like you want to find their
Maps and any knowledge about the king that might have left around,
okay,
essentially. Yeah.
But so we know that. How are you going to do that? Is there something?
Well, that's the question. I mean, there's two skills that come to mind. I just need to look at the. There we go.
Just let me know. Is it scavenging?
No, that's that one.
I'm attempting to use foraging.
Okay, foraging will
doesn't
probably
really
let you beer.
Yeah, I'll let you the beer. That's true.
So what I'll propose now is so that we can get this actually done here. So let's have.
I was thinking observation, basically, or rhyme.
Yeah, observation is a good one.
Yeah, we'll go with observation then.
Observation is a good one. So I'll, if you guys want to, I'll say if you have observation. Glarvir, do you have observation?
I do. Yeah.
Not as a skill, no.
Yeah. So Glarvir, let's say you, and this is something you might not want to, but if we put in your foraging here.
I say I'm quite willing to add observation to like being learned and like roll on skill.
The thing is, you don't have it, so you can't help with it. At the moment.
No.
And I'm gonna say if you want to, you can tag along with your forage and maybe find some goods
treats
to go.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if that's okay with you guys, then Tyrael, you can make your thing.
Shall I make the roll?
Yeah, with an
can
extra die.
Can I give Tyrael one of my dice for helping with like the foraging and whatever, rather than do a separate roll?
Yeah, that is.
Okay, so you want me to just roll 5 dice then on observation?
Yeah, let's just roll and add one for the.
We'll see what we
for the
find.
help.
The obstacle.
The obstacle here would be 2, and if you botch this, well, I'll just say if you botch this, there is absolutely nothing. They cleaned the place up when they left.
Okay, we'll see what happens.
They left with everything.
Okay. Well, let's find out if they left anything behind.
And there's no useful intel in the village at all.
Let's see if they were sloppy.
Yeah.
They were sloppy.
They were not, or they were sloppy. Yeah.
Yeah, they were sloppy. Barely, but success is success.
Yeah, you find. It's a worn book with scribblings in it, and it takes you a bit to figure out what's going on. But it's like almost like the diary of the Elderman here.
Perfect.
And just some notes generally about the harvest and that sort of thing. And there's notes there that you can see in the timeline of the notes when it's basically like a messenger came from the Weeping Weald. We dare no longer send our dues to the Lord. They've got, and then it's a list of names. We are in quite the pickle.
So they took hostages.
Apparently.
So their hostages were taken. So that's why I said earlier we didn't know if this was willingly or not. Clearly, they're being coerced in some fashion.
Yeah. So hostages were taken like in spring.
Right.
And then it goes on like fairly normal there. And then in summertime, several months ago, they mention again the herald from the Weeping Weald. And there's mention of the herald expressing anger because of believers wandering into the woods and spreading the covenant. And they seem to take it as a sign of our good faith when we smashed our shrine. There's hopes for their loved ones that they're doing well. And then there's the final notes that say that Lord Beric sent assistance, and we told them what had happened, and the soldiers went in the woods, never came back.
Right.
And
Okay.
then there's like a half note, which is the soldiers are back. They come with the herald. I think this is the last time. I will, and then there's a splotch of ink.
Okay, so from what I took from that is, so this is the journal of the Essagar, right?
No.
Different person.
This is the. I think you pick up from the notebook. It's the herald is working for Essagar. So Essagar is explicitly, in your understanding now, in the Weeping Weald.
Oh,
Essagar is over there.
I see. Essagar is not the magistrate of Vorbek.
No.
He's the. Oh, I see. Hold on.
Yep.
Got it. I misunderstood that earlier. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Let me make that note. Real change. So basically, it seems like, from our perspective, is that the local alderman was doing their best to placate this new power.
Not to get killed.
Right. And they had hostages that were taken, and then the soldiers showed up, went to investigate, and they seem to have switched sides.
Yeah. Or whatever.
Or whatever's happened to them,
yeah.
They are no longer serving the Beric.
No.
Okay.
No.
So I will gather Glarvir up, assuming he's not drunk already. I'll go back to Kameron at the tree. I'll convey all this information that we just learned from the book, and I'll end with, and as I said earlier, this is why we need to further investigate, because these people, I don't think, left here of their own accord, and even if they willingly departed to go be a part of this Weeping Weald community or whatever it was, no one can possibly be said to have made an honest choice when there are hostages, loved ones being kept in captivity by some strange foreign invader. So, Glarvir, I think the Oathbreakers potentially still might be in play. However, these soldiers seem to have switched sides, or else have been somehow compelled.
It certainly seems that way. Yes.
Yes. So we must further investigate, and the answers await us in the Weeping Weald.
Glarvir, you found a good-sized stash of salted meats.
Ooh, that'll come in handy. We're not going to starve anytime soon.
Indeed, not a total loss then.
Yeah, and I'll say, because you were explicitly looking for it, you do actually find some beverages as well.
A couple of small casks, maybe.
Yeah.
You know?
So I like think as Tyrael's like, oh yeah, she found some salted meat, that'll be useful, and I'll be like, that's not all I found.
Boy.
Kameron, while this is going on, the necklace is a fairly simple affair. You've seen this, actually, you realize, quite a lot. It is a simple devotional necklace. There's the symbol of the Covenant of the First Flame on the necklace. And the sword seems exquisite. You're not an expert, but it looks... if you wanted to compare it with, this is a guardsman on like a border town, and he has a chipped ass, dingy, half rusted sword, this would be something else entirely. It is finely made indeed, not touched by the elements at all, and is elaborate in its decorations. Yeah, Tyrael.
I'm a sword expert.
Yeah, Kameron, what do as these guys rummage through the hall?
I'll once I see them again, I'm guessing there's a bit of time.
Yeah.
I will look around and I kind of try to be respectful, considering cutting this person down and burying them, but at the same time, I don't know. Knowing my thing from summoning and sorcery, that perhaps disturbing this could have unintended consequences. So I should be wary. I'm sort of like looking at the sword. Does it have like a symbol on it or anything, or writing or anything like that?
You can see the beginnings of writing in the point where it enters the flesh,
Right.
but it's obscured by the flesh.
That's when I'll call Tyrael over, because I know he's a man. He's an elf of the blade, a student of the
And after
blade.
I have explained everything, I'll absolutely comply with his request. I'll look at the sword. You said it was finely wrought.
Yeah, it is exquisitely made. Your quick glance, it's not Elven, but
we can't all be perfect.
Your
said earlier.
Your quick glance is that this has to have been made by a master weaponsmith.
It's nicer than my piece of crap normal sword.
And yeah, it is a fine weapon, provided that hacking it into the tree hasn't ruined the blade entirely. But
so I would surmise that this is nicer than basically I have a basic sword that I just carried with me. I didn't want to go too flashy when we left the Elven lands.
I'm no expert, but this thing seems.
So I feel like I want it. I'm not normally
this would have
covetous,
been made for a person of means or stature.
Yeah, so this looks like something that it feels to me that this is not the only sword of its kind in existence, that this sword was left in this person in this way to send another point, that the people who are behind this murder have power, they have money, they have a sophistication, of course, in their sword construction. So the sword itself is in of itself a message. So that being said, I'm not normally covetous, but I think I want the sword. I'm going to now. I know you have some potential. You believe maybe some sorcery here. We should all be alert.
Just be careful.
Sword out. Yes. If the blade isn't ruined, I'm going to add it to my collection.
I was going to say, I feel at this point as a dwarf, I should ask, like, how nice is that sword?
It's very nice indeed.
It's very nice indeed.
It would look wonderful.
I was going to say, you know what I'm asking.
It's looks probably worth more than the village.
I'm basically saying, do I need to make that greed roll? Is what I'm asking.
Let's investigate that. Also, I think I was wrong when we were talking about the methods of your greed. There's 4 different categories, and you need to pick 3, which does give us opportunity to pick the sort of thing that triggers here. So here we go. Okay, so we pick from riches, physical beauty, craftsmanship, and power. So you pick 3 of those.
I'll go riches, craftsmanship, and power.
Yep. So this is an exquisite craftsmanship, indeed. So the rule here is she is magnificent.
So you'll probably see it's like I've probably not been saying anything as you're like examining this sword, and you're like, oh, this is amazing. I'm like.
So
maybe a little tear.
Give us a steel test, Glarvir.
Oh wow! Okay, so we haven't had this one yet.
Yeah, welcome to the dwarf special rolls. However, my steel is massive.
Yeah.
What's the obstacle?
So the obstacle, your normal hesitation is 4. And your greed currently is nothing. Yeah,
that's
1.
Right.
So it is 4.
Boom, 4 successes.
You make it. So,
on point.
I've got merits that like effectively give me bonuses, so I'm not like,
right,
all mine.
Yeah, so yeah, you don't feel basically the curse of greed take hold. However, you very much can appreciate that this is a finely made. Like this would not be a shame. Or if this was made by any dwarf, it would not be a shame at all.
So I like to think, even though I'm not immediately like, it must be mine, I like to think I'm still sort of like running like my gauntleted hand, like gently, almost lovingly caressing the sort of blade of it, not wanting to disturb it. And I'm almost like to myself, I'm like, yes, The craftsmanship is remarkable. The way that the light of the three moons seems to shine off such a finely crafted blade. And then I sort of like pull myself back to myself. And like, yes, it's very fine. It's fine.
How about this? I'll make a little gentleman's agreement with you. Once I no longer have any use of the blade in a practical sense, you may have it for your collection. How does that sound?
Oh yes,
we can incorporate it into your courtship ritual along with my ballad.
Oh, well, it is traditional in dwarven society to give a work of precious craftsmanship as a token of affection. Yes, that's more than reasonable.
Taken from a dire enemy, you know that.
Yes, that's very generous of you, Tyrael. Thank you very much. I agree.
Of course, my friend. Now let's just see what happens, shall we? Be prepared.
I'm always prepared when my fellows are in potential danger.
And I'm going to try to pull the sword free at this point.
So you pull it. Kameron, what's going on with you? These friends of yours are all in on this sword.
I love the fact Kameron's like, oh yeah, that's quite a nice sword, and like turns around and let the elf and the dwarf are like, yes.
I have no interest in blades, but if you wish to take it, do so. But
have you seen
I would be careful.
The thing that I'm carrying that passes for a sword? It's an embarrassment. I was trying to be incognito, but I wouldn't mind an improvement. So let's see how this blade works.
I know that you had one of human ears or eyes, as you keep reminding me, but it's quite obvious that this was left here for a reason.
Yes, definitely left to send a signal about their wealth, their power, their craftsmanship. Yes, absolutely. Now we're hoping that this doesn't do anything more than that as I pull the blade free, hopefully.
Yeah. So you start pulling it. It does take a bit because it is indeed lodged into the tree. So
trunk.
You get it. Okay, and then
I'm holding my axe ready in case anything goes on with that corpse. It's getting a dwarf axe through its neck.
There's the particularly unpleasant, drag of, oh, I'm dragging this sword out of your guts, and it slides off. The gore is not particularly wet because it's a fairly dry corpse here. You can see the inscription on the blade as you draw it out. You can start, in fact, reading it as you do pull it out.
I will.
So yeah, it is in the old
draws
tongue.
This sword is thoroughly fucked.
It is yeah. I gotcha. No, it is in the tongue of the old High Kingdom, which we'll just give that to you.
Old tongue is fine, right?
Yep. It reads as you discover more of the writing as you pull. It reads, like the glittering sun, I bring hope to drive away fear. Like the dreaming moon, I long to lay in rest. Take care, my wielder, to seek only wisdom and peace.
As I finished pulling the sword and finished reading the inscription, Glarvir, who's probably closest to me, can actually see tears well in my eyes as I read the inscription. It's like, that's... I can't believe that this blade was forged by humans in this age, especially with words of wisdom etched into it, such as these.
I did tell you were great architects, not just of buildings.
Yes, once upon a time and more.
I don't have to break this to you, Kameron, but you're not a great architect of buildings. Your buildings are shoddy in the extreme.
Come now, Glarvir. Once upon a time, humans built mighty edifices that could have even rivaled some of our own. They were young, but they learned
maybe elven architecture.
But you don't remember those days. And they were even before my time.
I'll say as I'm trying to...
The corpse starts thrashing on the...
It's getting an axe in its neck. I was ready for that shizzle.
I'll bring the sword to ready at that point as well. I'll bring my little revelry there.
I'm just going to do the baseball bat swing at the neck.
There's a slow-mo moment. The corpse is thrashing on the tree. The stakes doesn't seem to care about them too much. They just like pop off the trunk of the tree, and still embedded in its flesh, but it's like, and then Glarvir is
Yeah, I'm gonna just snicker snack as well if I can.
yeah. So
My new
we'll look. Let's say
Take a
Glarvir
snack,
was
double attack.
the one with with the instinct really here. So
Definitely.
I'll say if you guys want to do it like this, Glarvir, you can do your axe, and Tyrael, you can give a help.
If we're simplifying it that way, then that's perfectly fine with me.
Yeah, because
I feel I did warn them not to do about this.
Yeah.
You did.
Also,
we were being careful.
also, have you guys marked your tests here? So, for example, for Tyrael, the observation and.
Yeah, I've been doing that as well.
Yeah.
Do I get to do one for the sword if I'm helping or not?
Yes, yes,
okay,
and that's what we also need to put in.
But I need to ask you a question about that because my routine is 0 for that. So it's like my sword skill is quite high. So
yeah, the routine then doesn't count anymore for the.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. So this would have to be a difficult roll then for me to generate anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna check because Glarvir might be owed a thing for the scavenging that we did.
Yeah,
so,
I imagine you would be for foraging. Yeah.
Where's the scavenging?
Yeah, I put
the skill was a 2.
I put a routine success in foraging.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Good.
For me, for one to.
So, yeah, you can do your axe with Tyrael's helping.
Okay, so that's.
What is your intent here? What do you want?
My intent's to decapitate the skull.
Put it back right to rest. Yeah, I think we're both swinging for that.
Okay.
Because it's like pinned and it's like, bleh. So my plan
is
just
imagining this is almost like a Matrix move where his axe goes one way and my sword goes another way, and the head goes like that. That's kind of how I'm imagining it.
Right. So let me get.
If we have the skill, that is. You'll need to let us know the obstacle for this one, though.
Yeah, which is what I'm here.
I'm hoping it's high because
Well,
I mean,
what this is you guys are like we're resolving a conflict here, which is a contest between you guys and this thing.
And the creature.
So it's going to roll against you with its savage attack. And you can roll yours, and then we compare what happens.
So I'm just rolling obstacles here, Robin.
Yeah, obstacle 1, and then.
Okay. So
Kameron, before we do anything, Kameron, what do you do? We've got Glarvir. Swinging in. Tyrael.
Yeah.
What's Kameron doing? the corpse is just like shrieking on the tree.
Can I attempt to talk to it? Like, as if it's, I don't know if it's a spirit, or I don't know if it's like an undead spirit. I mean, it's probably
it's a corpse, so it is no longer alive in the usual sense.
Traditional sense.
Yeah.
It's an ex-parrot.
I'm just gonna back off. Actually, I'm just gonna step back and let them do
Probably
this.
the best.
Right. So, John, you can do a roll, and
I'm just adding one. Well, a question about that. If I'm helping with him, how many dice do I add? Just the one, or
yeah, just the one.
Okay,
yeah.
just making sure. Okay.
Yep.
Well, anyway, he had 5 successes.
Yep.
So
He has 5 successes, which is very nice. Let me see here.
Your roll determines the obstacle then as well, like whatever his roll is.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
We'll deal with that as soon as I.
Oh, sorry. No problem.
Goddamn sheet here. So,
I just like these rules.
I would also like, if I can, to spend one of my fate points to reroll a 6.
Yep, that is what you can do with that.
Sweet.
Yeah, savage attack made me kind of give some pause there, like,
Yeah, it's what this guy's fighting skill is called.
Yeah.
Savage attack.
Oh, boom! That's 6 successes.
Okay, there we go.
Not bad at all. So, and as established, this is a conflict resolution. It's not the one strike.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about the scene as we go. So, this guy is okay. Right. And then I think I should be good to go. Oh.
Oh, we're so glad we used that fate point. Oh, man.
Good dwarven steer.
Now, here's the thing. I really, now, even though I enjoy the fact that you won, I really would have liked for you to be on 5 as well, because then we would have gotten onto a thing that I really enjoy about Burning Wheel Resolution, which is, okay, so we're tied here. What else do we roll next?
Yeah.
So it goes from like the lightsaber duel, like, our technique is matched. Next up, I guess it's just a strength thing, and press it into your face. Okay, so you got one more, which is fantastic. So this is now, let's see, the difficulty to beat for, let's deal with Glarvir first. So you've got 5 dice, and, 6 dice, sorry, with the advantage. So you've got 6 dice, the obstacle is 5, so that's a difficult for your axe.
Sweet.
Glarvir. And for Tyrael, how much is your sword?
5. My sword seal is 5.
5. That's difficult for your sword as well.
Oh,
so,
it's true. It is, isn't it? Boom, boom. Sorry, I was not paying attention. There's.
Yeah. So you get your intent, which is to slay this thing.
Yes, because fucking hell.
So, Glarvir, your instinct was on point. However, your first strike goes into its thigh. Doesn't seem to bother it too much. It rips the frayed ropes off. So it's basically, there's some ropes attached to its chest, no longer to the tree. It gets off the tree like it didn't really matter to it that it was bolted onto it with wooden pegs. And it turns into a whole, let's say like a 15-second frenzied melee, whereby this creature just like these giant swipes at the both of you, any one of which could probably potentially take your poise back a bit if you got tagged. It doesn't manage to get a solid hit in, but you don't even want to at any rate. So you're quite successful in your dancing, Tyrael. You've got the sword. You can do exactly your thing, which is the sword singer fight. And Glarvir is just in the meat instantly with the axe. Now, you've had to dodge this thing taking off the doors of the communal hall, using them as a weapon as well, like just smashing.
I imagine I've been using my shield quite a bit as well, you know.
It's like it bashes the door to bits on your shield. It like gets a couple of like shredded planks and uses them to like stab at you. It goes back to the claws.
Yeah, vile abomination.
It is shrieking the whole time. This it's a weird shriek, which is sort of solid in between like despair and fury. And,
I'm probably going to be trying to like drown it out by like screaming like dwarven like battle cries as I'm like fighting it.
Baruch Azad! And but yeah, it wrecks one of these smaller houses as this fight goes on, and eventually, indeed, I won't say Tyrael. You do a feint, which like you baited the creature. You do a feint, and it lunges too far, goes sprawling, and Glarvir goes in with the dwarf jump as you do, and gets the axe blows in, and
by the might of Mulbrannan you shall fall, beast.
And even as you like crush its face with your the shrieking stops as you start smushing the face, but it takes a bit, and it finds your face and your helmet. Like the helmet goes away in an instant with a swipe. It tries to claw your face, but eventually it sort of lays down and is motionless, and you're left on top of this withered corpse. The necklace has been lost in the scuffle. Of course, the tabard tunic, sorry, that I was wearing, just shredded from the battle. The hall half ruined. A couple of these smaller houses ruined as well. But you have defeated the whatever this is, and it lies dead on the pavement stones of the old road.
I think I'm going to go just sort of like stagger up, because obviously I'm a bit of an old fellow as far as like dwarves go. I sort of stagger up, go and pick up my helmet where it's like flew off a few feet away, sort of like just holding it under one arm. So plonk myself down in the wreckage of the building, pour a little mug of something out of my keg, and then I'm just going to like have a big long swig of it and be like, ye gods, I can't remember the last time I was in a fight like that.
Well, it was a bit arousing, wasn't it?
Stirs the blood, doesn't it? Reminds me of the old days on the battlefield.
Although I have to wonder what sorcery, this would be you come in, Kameron, could possibly...
I did say that there's something going on there.
Well,
I didn't quite expect it to be that violent, but...
Before we depart this lovely town, could you perhaps attempt to ascertain as much information about what could do that to a man? For I fear when we go into the Weeping Weald on the morrow, we may encounter more of such creatures, and I would not like to be taken unawares by them.
Indeed, we had the advantage this time. We might not be so fortunate next time.
Yes, exactly.
I will consult my knowledge of demonology.
Indeed, roll the bones or whatever you need to do.
Yes, yes. I'm going to set this thing on fire while you're doing that.
Is there anything, Wheelmaster, that I know in my... Obviously, being previously a master summoner, in my research in demonology and other arts, does this ring any bells for me?
Well, give us a roll of demonology, I think.
Okay. Bosh, let's do it. No advantage. No advantage. What's the obstacle you want me to roll
2.
for this? 2?
1. Let's go with 1.
1, okay, generous. I like it. I believe
Yep.
I succeeded.
Right, so you can mark the routine for that.
Oh.
It's the first sequence of dots. So, unless you spend a bunch of time studying it, you can't really be absolutely sure if it was a summoned spirit as you would summon a spirit yourself.
Yeah.
Or if this was just straight up necromancy, which there's some overlap there because you can summon the dead too, the spirits of the dead. But necromancy is when you do something else as well, which is beyond your expertise. But you're fairly confident that because you didn't see any other signs of things that break the laws of nature, which is usually something that accompanies otherworldly spirits here, like a otherworldly spirit inhabiting a corpse. You saw no evidence of that.
Evidence of possession.
So you suspect it's probably a human spirit that was in there, but how it got in there, you can't really be sure whether it was like a possession thing or necromancy. Well, I guess you would probably guess that this would have to be necromancy.
That's what I was thinking.
You see none of your own trappings here, so, or some other horrific curse.
I'm speaking to Tyrael at this point. Educated guess that this is some form of necromancy that was done, judging by the display, the message, the sword. A summon. If this was a summon thing, they would not need these things. They could negotiate a kind of deal. I know I could try and talk to this person's actual spirit. However, what's been done to them, It might not be a very pleasant experience for either of us.
Best that we burn the body and leave it at that for now. But at least now we know that the power behind this Weeping Weald magistrate and their king is likely sourced in dark powers. And that is why we're here anyway, is it not? To crush the dark powers and drive them from human lands for all good?
There is possible that we'll see more of this as we venture forth.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
The time needed for this sort of thing means there's probably not a great many.
Me and Adonis here will cut through them quickly, expeditiously.
Did you tell us what was written on that sword, or was that only for your eyes?
I had not, but you can read it if you'd like. It's beautiful.
you can read the Kameron if you want to.
I'll show it to him as well.
It's a very strange inscription for the nature of what we found.
I doubt that the people who are behind and all of this actually built this themselves, crafted it themselves. I feel this is from the old kingdom before humanity fell into its current state of disgrace. So
that would match the inscription because it was in the old kingdom script.
It's a desecration of the sword and the spirit of this person.
Well, we shall restore the sword's honor forthwith. As to this person's soul, I cannot do anything other than burn their body and hope that they find some form of rest. However it is you humans find rest in whatever lies for you after you pass this world.
Oh, sleep normally, but what comes after is very much up for debate.
I meant more like your eternal rest. Obviously, we know what happens to ourselves.
It may not surprise you, it is a much more of a hotly debated topic among you.
Yes, you don't know, so therefore it's hard to wish this person anything other than good luck in the after, I suppose.
Well, when you live for 1,000 years, I suppose you can put off thinking about your own mortality for a while.
Indeed. Well, we don't have mortality, as it were, so much. I mean, sure, I could be slain, but I simply rejoin. Let's not get theological about it, but simply put, I will return to where I came, and then, if it was worth it to myself, I could return here again. It's so cyclical. It's a cycle. Call it the weave and the wheel.
Like the turning of a wheel.
Yes, that's exactly what we call it. The weave and the wheel.
Like the weave of the days of our lives.
Unfortunately, the wheel burns.
And the wheel burns.
I don't think we should stay here for too long.
Let's just take care of this poor man's body, and then we can proceed.
I hope Glarvir was not injured in that.
It will take more than some lanky streak of piss like that to injure me. Damn near knocked my helmet off, though. The cheek.
The nerve.
Right. So you, where do you burn this corpse?
I want to find, obviously we're on a hill, but I want to find the clearest and highest point of this hill that is in clear view of the Weeping Weald. And I want to set the body on fire there.
Right. Might I suggest that we do dig out some sort of fire pit just to make sure the fire doesn't spread?
Yeah, we're going to do it properly. Yeah, we're not going to just haphazardly set it off. Yeah. Totally.
So we have the funeral pyre, and it's going up in flames. It is you're struck by the fact that none of you have seen a human this large. It's a withered corpse, like it's shrunken in on itself. But you can only imagine if this was an actual live specimen. It must have been very imposing indeed.
Yeah.
So yeah, you lay out the.
Would it be human-wise to work out if this person has been messed with, like that's
or
not
if it's
their
like a
actual
sub race or something?
No, it's like they're not their actual body shape, that they've been deliberately modified, stretched or
Mutated.
altered?
I'd imagine that'd be more like alchemy or something like that in this system, right?
There's a couple things we could roll here. You could look for if you suspect there's science in it, you could look for a skill like that. If you want to establish, like, are there big people by default? Like, are these,
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think. Is this,
like, do giants exist?
was
Maybe
this person born born and grown into this size, or was just
Mhm.
something happened to make them this size?
Mhm.
That's what I was curious about.
You've never seen, none of you have ever seen a person this large, and what do we roll here for determining this? You can roll your obscure history for, like, have people been this large ever?
Yeah, okay, I can do that. I can do that.
Like, is this a thing for people at all?
What's the difficulty? The obstacle?
I'm gonna say 2.
2. Oh, chances are low for this then.
Oh, that's a 0.
Guess I get a tick though.
Yeah, you do. A difficult one.
A routine.
So, as Tyrael is setting the pyre flame, and it begins to burn, I would like to begin to sing the Lament of the Fallen. And I want it to be clear, crisp, and loud. I want it to be heard. I want it to echo throughout the hills of this land. And anyone who might be watching or listening in that forest, I want them to hear it too. So
I'm going to cover my ears.
Kameron, and we know that this is not the case because you failed, but you can only think that this person, because of your ability in obscure history, you are aware, because of your studies in mystical lore as well, you are aware that there are such mythical things as giants. That's a very long time ago, though, and you've never seen them. You've just read about the myths about giants. That's the only thing that you can conclude, is that this person has, like, giant heritage somewhere long past in their line. But at the same time, you don't recall any mention of, like, oh, the ancient men in the old kingdom were large and therefore would be related to.
I just feel like if someone was like 8 feet tall in this village, like, someone would have mentioned that. Like, that's not a common thing, so it's just something to wonder about for future.
Yeah. But your conclusion, which is not true because you failed your thing here, is that it's probably giant heritage.
Probably giant hair. Yeah, he's got a bloodline. We've all got bloodlines. I got a bloodline. He's got a bloodline.
Yeah, and that's easy for you, I guess, to say, because you're like, oh, I know about that.
Yeah.
Humans are strange and mercurial creatures.
Yeah.
In this, especially in our world.
Right. So, there's the fire.
I'm singing
it
away.
Burns. You're singing the lament to the hills, and it's it's a wonderful scene of the cameras are sort of like zooming back behind Tyrael as you rise up the lament, as the flames rise up as well, and the flames reach just far enough into the darkness to light up these. It's weird because it's in that twilight zone of between the darkness and. But you see these poles or staves in the darkness, and they're all topped with elk and deer skulls looking towards you as you sing the lament.
How wonderful.
Yeah, it's not ominous at all.
Right, and I think we'll call it there.
Thank you very much for running it. I very much enjoyed it.
Very much for running that, Wheel Master.
Plot thickens.
All right, so next time we'll pick it up from here, or perhaps in a different situation. But anyway, that is it for this session, and until next time.
Thank you very much. I will stop the stream.